which we should incorporate into our daily routines even later in our life, that will help us to definitely enhance our complexion and look better. A youthful skin is actually the clue to the health within the body. So we'll start by seeing this very famous personality. I'm sorry, there's little technical glitches in between. Just cooperate with me for a second. So we all know who this is. This is Alia Bhatt. And if we can't get her fame and riches, at least we should look dewy complexioned like her. So without much ado, let's just get into this whole process of what are the things that we can do to make ourselves more presentable and more attractive. And attractive is not just something which we should do primarily for others. It is something which we do for ourselves. It boosts our self-confidence. And a confident person definitely gets, it's a thing in the HR which they say, your confidence and your attractiveness is definitely a lead on to where you will go in the rest of your life. So I'm going to talk about very basic things which we can understand without going into too much of scientific jargon, and also some things which you can do in everyday life for which you do not need to go and buy a million products and get into all kind of mess of that sort. So the first is hydration. It's been talked to death that we must keep ourselves hydrated. So our body is 70% water. So we cannot ever underemphasize what hydration means to us. If we are adequately hydrated, we are drinking adequate amount of water, we will see that our skin glows. There is a screen here which is shared for you. You can definitely see how drastic the difference is when you are adequately hydrated versus when you are not. Our skin often breaks into acne, is prone to infection, gets dry, easily wrinkles. All this happens when there is not enough water in our body. And vis-a-vis, if we are adequately hydrated, all these factors can be easily taken out. If you are not hydrating yourselves, you can even forget about the rest of the seminar. You can just forget about the rest of the products and rest of the steps we can take. This is absolutely the first thing we need to do. So let's see what actually, if you do not look after your skin well, what are the most common problems that we have. We can see from these two pictures here that most people end up having a lot of pigmentation, a lot of dark spots, acne, and they have these scars which are left even after these basic problems have been healed. In a layman language, this is called hyperpigmentation. So hyperpigmentation has a lot of causes. Essentially, the most common few causes we see is acne and sun damage. So these two are the main primary causes, and all our treatments and everything else we will see is rooted around these two things. Basically to prevent skin from inflammation and infection. And the other thing is to control the UV damage that is happening to our skin. There are other causes also, like some drugs can sometimes cause an allergy. In women, most commonly pregnancy and hormonal changes of adolescence will cause a rash around their, a very deep pigmented rash around their forehead, around the nose, on the cheeks. It's called a butterfly rash or melasma. So these are the basic few factors, if these are in your mind, that what leads to hyperpigmentation, what leads to an uneven complexion. You will be very easily able to understand what we're going to do in the further course as I'm going to explain to you. So as we talked about hydration, the second most important thing is using a sunscreen. A lot of people say that we are working indoors, we are not really exposed to the sun. We just get up from our home and go straight to the office. We're going in a car, we're going in a metro. We don't even use public transport. We are barely exposed to the sun. We are deficient in vitamin D. So how could we even have any need for a sunscreen? So you must understand UV rays come in different categories. Everything is not when you're just standing in the direct sun. The sunlight which comes in through your windows is also trapping a UV radiation in your room. That is also causing a continuous damage to your skin. Uh, Sun is very important in stimulating this pigment in our body, which essentially gives us our color. This doesn't give us our skin color alone, it colors our hair, it colors our insides of our ears, the inside of our mouth, the sides of our nose, things which we don't even think are exposed to the sun. But if there is uneven accumulation of this pigment, which is called melanin, it leads to a lot of dark spots and unevenness in the skin tone. So a lot of people may not even be suffering from a lot of, they will say we didn't really have acne, we've had a very good skin all the while, but now we are just getting this uneven complexion or it looks very dull. So that is because this melanin is getting accumulated in different patches. So first thing you can do is start using a sunscreen. Sunscreens are of various types. That is a different topic altogether. There are chemical sunscreens, there are physical sunscreens, there are oral sunscreens. So whatever you choose, whatever you decide is good. But you must use a sunscreen. The easiest to go is with a physical barrier sunscreen, something which has zinc in it. Though the usual zinc sunscreens leave a little white cast on the face and people don't really like it. Now there are a lot of good products in the market which also don't, which kind of blend in and they are very gel based. So depending on your skin type also you can choose the type of sunscreen. And at home, a very basic sunscreen for you yourself, which you can use at home, is to use a layer of milk over your face in the morning and leave it on for a few minutes. The milk has lactic acid. It also acts like a chemical peel, which I'll talk about later. But it also actually helps in acting as a barrier to not allowing melanin to accumulate in different places. And the third thing, which is most important, is you can never look externally healthy if you're not healthy within. So diet is something which you cannot absolutely ignore. We've been hearing our grandmothers tell us that what you eat is what you should put on your face. And there's so much wisdom in that. Because what we eat not only acts as a good probiotic for our intestines, not only reflects in a glowing skin from within, but the same things also have same fruit acids in them, which help us to clear up our skin. So if we talk about cabbages, beets, cauliflower, broccoli, nuts, all these have a lot of value taken orally as well as applied on the face. So the most essential vitamins in the beauty industry, if you ever attend any lecture or you've been going through some product lists, you will see a vitamin C and vitamin B. So vitamin C is absolutely the gold standard for everything in this. You can take in a lot of citrus fruits, gooseberries, even tomatoes, and surprisingly red and green and yellow bell peppers are a very rich source of
जी हाँ
vitamin
जी
C. So the same concept is then applied in the beauty industry by putting it into serums, which we use, which almost every clinical esthetician will tell you is the first thing which should go onto your face after you washed your face. So similarly with vitamin B, the niacin is a friend which should be your friend for which everyone needs actually. It's absolutely the most powerful ingredient. Not only does it help in your muscular strength and keeping your skin healthy, it absolutely works as the first line of defense in reducing any signs of aging. It gives a good boost to the collagen within. It decreases the unnecessary pigment production. It makes our skin so hydrated. And any repair and wear and tear which has been going on a daily basis is greatly helped with this vitamin. In countries where there is predisposition to having skin cancer, the niacin serums, which are available individually, if you're not eating them, you can apply them. They go a long way. They actually promote this and they tell you that you should be using a niacin serum. These are vitamin C and niacin are two products which you should actually be using on a daily basis. You need not like take a time off from them. Unlike their friend vitamin A, which I'll just be coming to shortly. So niacin is something which is also incorporated, just like vitamin C, in a lot of sunscreens, in a lot of moisturizers. You might use these products individually, or you can use them together. You can use these things at home. So if you actually make a paste of um, like orange peels and you grind it into your what we call Artiga choker and all that and apply it on your face, or you just boil a few peels of orange in water and use it like a toner. All these are things which you can do at home and they give you the same benefit. If you don't have access to all these products in your home already and this is not the time to be going out shopping, so you can do all these things at home and there's a lot of cultural wisdom in it, and you can actually make your skin soothed, calm, and prevent the formation of breakouts. Especially now, because since we are at home and pollution levels are low, this is the best time to maximize. But there is a problem that we all are going very YouTube friendly and experimenting with all kinds of food. So a lot of people who have acne issues are actually experiencing worse breakouts than before. So good that you go experiment with food, but be careful. Anything which is spicy and oily is definitely going to help the bacteria to grow easier. But at the same time, if you can take care of all these things, like even making a potato peel mask or just grating a potato and squeezing out its juice and applying it on your face, you're giving your face all these vitamins. In the same vein, when we are talking about these two vitamins, the third most important vitamin is vitamin A. It is the only known vitamin which actually stimulates collagen. So what is collagen? It is like a fiber which is lying under your skin. And the tighter the network is, the healthier your skin is. The firmer it is, the tighter it is. So a lot of day creams, night creams, and from so many companies, they all propagate this by saying you should have vitamin A in it. Vitamin A, however, makes your skin a little sensitive. So I don't really recommend if you're using any vitamin A based cream that you should use it 7 days a week. It should actually be like maybe alternate nights or maybe like 5 nights on, 2 nights off, whatever suits you. It is a great product and a great vitamin which fights off acne and acne scars. So sometimes even after acne is healed and gone, we see it leaves a lot of dark spots. So how to combat that? Because sometimes acne heals, but it leaves a lot of marks. The first thing which everybody knows is we should not have been picking at our acne while it was on our face. And to reduce this post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, it's called PIH. This vitamin A is extremely helpful in that. So if you go to a doctor for treatment of your scars and pits, they will actually give you a vitamin A tablet to reduce that. And the added benefits are that it exfoliates the skin simultaneously. If you do not like the effect of vitamin A in oral form or total application that causes flakiness of skin, you can just incorporate it into your food every day. Make sure you eat one red, orange, or yellow colored food or fruit every day, one vegetable or fruit. It is a great source of vitamin A, and you will not get toxicity of vitamin A by consuming it in the amounts that it is present in your food. Vitamin A tablets, however, need to be taken with a lot of caution. Also, please remember people who are feeding or breastfeeding or pregnant, vitamin A is definitely not for you. The other micronutrients which can help us is zinc. So there is broccoli and almonds are a great source of zinc. So when somebody says to you that you should soak 5 almonds and have them in the morning, you are actually eating a powerhouse. Not only is it rich in vitamin B, and not only is it having a lot of vitamin E, it also contains zinc. Zinc is great, absolutely great in reducing scars and in reducing dark spots. So there are a lot of companies which actually sell zinc tablets individually. It also helps to control diarrhea, by the way. So this is something, if you can lay your hands on, or if you can actually make a good diet chart for yourself, make sure that you're having a lot of zinc in your food. Don't go overboard, however. If you're taking it in tablets, please buy it on a prescription only, because overdose can actually cause toxicity, which is a different problem altogether. Similarly, probiotics in our food. Probiotics, like when we say use curd, curd is the best probiotic Indians have on their hands. But just remember to use curd fresh if you want to use it like a probiotic. Because once you've taken the curd out and refrigerated it, you've actually killed the little lactobacilli bacteria in it. And lactobacilli bacteria are the things which are actually going to go into your gut, multiply, and heal you from within. That is the probiotic. So if you've actually refrigerated curd, or you're buying curd from like Mother Dairy or Amul or wherever else, that curd is really not beneficial as a probiotic. It has other benefits, yes, but not as a probiotic. So probiotics are great to fight off inflammation. They're great for treating acne, which is like just in a very acute form and is absolutely afflicted and nodulocystic or anything. So that's a wonderful thing. In fact, in a lot of peels, we use the extract which is in curds only. It is the same thing which is condensed and used in chemical peels to heal the skin. Besides these dietary things, a latest fad is now called coffee oil, which is not like really freely available right now. And as the slide is showing it to you, it's great because of the caffeine content and the antioxidant content in it. It actually helps you to smoothen out the skin, clear up the skin. You can actually make a little coffee scrub for yourself at home if you just add a little bit of ground coffee powder with sugar and just like make a very thick paste out of it and just scrub your body with it. You will instantly see a smoothing and a brightening effect. Which brings us to exfoliation. Exfoliation is an absolute must. So exfoliation means when you're removing the dead layers of the top layers of your skin. So exfoliation can be done in two ways. One is your physical exfoliation, which is the more common form in which we use a lot of scrubs and everything. And the other is chemical exfoliation. So just remember, when you're doing physical exfoliation, in a clinic setting, it's done with a dermabrader, which we just basically suction off the upper layer of the skin and we just loosen up the dirt in it so that it comes off easily. But the same thing, if you're preparing a scrub at home, make sure that the granules are like really tiny. Don't use, sometimes we see there's something called a walnut scrub or apricot scrub, and the grains are so big. The bigger the grain, the more likely it is to create micro tears in your skin. And though you may not realize it at that point of time, those tears will heal and they will cause a minute microscopic scarring. Later, the skin starts looking dull. So some people will come and say, we use scrubs very regularly, but I don't know what's happening. Now the glow doesn't come. So this is exactly what is happening. So if you're doing a scrub, just remember that it should be a fine scrub. It should just gently loosen the skin and just gently exfoliate. So sometimes people also use lemon at home. So a lot of scrubs which you will see which are advocated at home also contain a lot of lemon. So lemon directly on skin is not a good idea. One thinks that's a lightening agent. Yes, it is. But directly lemon, if you apply on the skin, it's so acidic, it actually can cause the skin to look redder. And later, this red skin is more prone to getting infected and scarred. So just remember these few things and you can, the uptans that we used to make at home as children and our mothers and grandmothers have made are excellent. Just remember to keep it little smooth. Chemical exfoliation basically follows the same principle. Whatever are the fruit acids, the vegetable acids that we've been consuming so far is what is consolidated out, is what is condensed out and is put into little bottles and made very convenient as serums, as chemical peels. So there are lots of things which you can buy over the counter also, or you can go to the doctor and get it done like once in a month and it works perfectly fine. Chemical peels are actually a favorite if you think in actual aesthetic terms because they cause minimal damage and they actually just dissolve the upper layer of the skin and cause it to fall away so smoothly, allowing the lower layers to come up and make the skin look so fresh and glowy. These same things, I'm sure if you just go into your bathrooms today and just look at your sink counters and your products which are lying there, you'll see a lot of them have things called AHAs and BHAs. So these are the two types of most commonly used acids which are used in chemical exfoliation also. So depending on your skin type, you can use AHAs or BHA based products. Similarly, you will see there's a long list of things which says like glycolic acid. Hello? There are things like glycolic acid and salicylic acid, lactic acid. So these are all the same. They all are in the same category. You can actually target the specific pigmented areas, but for that I will not go into detail now because you will not have access to these things. But on a later date, if your skin is primed with these basic skincare things, you will see that if you need to go and get targeted treatment for some pigmentation or rash or something, you will find the doctor has much easier time in treating you. There are lots of things like hydroquinones nowadays and retinol based products which can be used to target specific areas only. You may not have a completely blotched up face. There may be only some tiny spots which need treatment, which can be easily tackled then. Uh, Last of all, not last of all, second last of all. So there is also something which you should do actively to prevent wrinkling. These are things which you need to apply. So what are the things you can basically do as a routine basis to make sure that you don't enhance the formation of wrinkles? Uh, First and foremost is when we are looking at our cell phones. Most of us have a tendency to look at our cell phone, hold it close to our nose and frown at it. Very few of us actually smile at the phone. Most of us pick it up and we are just like irritated, or we are like we are finding difficulty to read, and we usually hold it close and we frown. Wrinkles will form in lines which are parallel to our muscles. So this forehead muscle runs vertically like this. So if you wrinkle your forehead, you will see you get lines like so. Eyebrows, if you wrinkle, you will see the lines are horizontal. So first of all, just stop frowning. Just take a big step back and de-stress yourself. Learn to smile when you pick up the phone every single time. So this frowning action goes, and this is the primary area. And women, when they apply cosmetics, when they apply eyeliners or eyeshadow or mascara, have a tendency to open their eyes wide and pull their forehead up. Just make it a practice not to do so. Just stop retracting this muscle all the time. Similarly, there is a tendency when we keep, there's a selfie obsession nowadays and there's a duck mouth obsession. We keep pouting. When we pout, this is a circular muscle. The wrinkles will form perpendicular. So if you drink too much through a straw, if you pout too much, or you have very abnormal habits of, having a nervous tick around your mouth, making abnormal mouth movements, you will augment these lines. They will become deeper and deeper with time. Just like you go to the gym and you keep doing the same muscle workout again and again every day, that muscle will grow. Similarly, if you keep over exaggerating the use of these facial muscles, the wrinkles will become deeper and deeper. This muscle will become stronger and that line will become deeper and deeper. Smokers especially, they keep pursing their lips and you will often see that they have very fine lines around their mouth even at a young age. They are called the smokers lines only. Just avoid these frowning movements, these constricting movements. This even when you are looking at something, try not to pinch your eyes in. These will definitely help you in the long run. Also, there is a very nice thing to have a restful sleep, and also it decreases the wrinkles, is the silk use of silk pillowcases. So this is actually known because the skin glides. It actually helps your hair as well. You will see that you have smoother hair loss decreases. There is a static electricity which is generated and it actually helps with wrinkles and hair loss. And when we're talking about sleep, we are talking about de-stressing. All these things will only work if you're de-stressed from within. Stress is the biggest factor for breakouts, for bad gut health, for dull looking skin, for wrinkles, for premature graying. So before you do anything else, even before you do dehydration, just identify what's your stress factor, work on that first, and then get going with all of this. If anybody has any queries, please feel free to ask me.
Hi, Dr. Swati. This is Ritu.
Hi.
I have missed the beginning. I'm so sorry for joining late.
No, it's all right.
I saw this coffee oil thing on the screen. I am not so sure if it's something that you've mentioned initially. Is it something that one should apply on face?
If you can, yes, you can, but I would not suggest the continuous use because it's quite potent in the concentrations that is available. So, but yes, it's actually very great for smoothing out cellulite. The initial use started over there with the areas which were very cellulite prone, and it has shown great benefit in that. And it definitely lightens the skin color, yes.
So, is it suited to all skin type, or one has to be
See,
careful to
whenever
use?
you're going to use, even like, for example, even if you're going to use a vitamin C serum or any coffee oil or any essential oil, just remember they have a tendency to clog pores. So, though it may suit a lot of people, you have to go with your individual skin and see how it goes for you. Because a lot of patients actually end up getting a lot of acne after using vitamin C serums also. Then we shift them to a gel based or a aqueous based or a much lighter whipped vitamin C. So similarly with coffee oil, because it's little oily, if you have a very oily skin or you have like a T-zone, then avoid the T-zone, avoid the oily areas.
My skin is comparatively dry, so I'm
Maybe
not so
you can
sure.
maybe you can go ahead and give it a try. Yes, why not?
All
And
right,
always
okay.
just like a little thing for this, whenever you try out a new product, just don't go immediately and apply it on your face. Don't use that like a laboratory for carrying out any kind of experiment. Always first start using it on a smaller patch of skin, maybe in the inner armpit, in the inner elbow, sorry, or the inside of your thigh. These are the areas which are pretty much close to our skin texture on the face. And if there is no allergy there, you can, or no blocking or breakouts or rashes over there, you can definitely go and give it a try on your face.
All right. So much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Dr. Swati Akshi this side.
Hi, Akshi.
Okay, so I have a question. You just mentioned to apply milk on your face, right?
Uh, I couldn't hear you, Akshi. Can you
You
be just a little
mentioned
louder?
to apply milk on our face.
Yes.
Yeah, so you suggest to apply raw milk or should we boil it?
No. So actually, applying milk on your face also has a procedure. Like you, first it should be boiled. Okay. Then it should be just like enough, warm enough, just warm enough.
Okay.
And uh, use a washcloth, a clean, absolutely clean washcloth, drench it into that milk and dab it onto your face
Right.
till the entire milk from the washcloth gets soaked into your skin. It dries out really fast, and a single application is not enough. So you actually need to repeat this process like maybe 6 or 7 times to actually get the good benefit. And if you have like a dry skin or you want a good moisturizing effect, you can add a little honey to it and it works very well. It just gives a very good glow. It's a little messy to use milk like this, yes. But if you can do it and if it doesn't cause a dry irritation to you, it's like really good because milk has got lactic acid and that's exactly, it is the best acid ever in a lot of beauty products, like even from makeup to moisturizers to sunscreens, you will find they contain lactic acid. It actually keeps exfoliating while you're using the product for other things.
Right. And can you suggest natural bleach? Like, because I really don't want.
So, bleaching is never a good idea.
That's what I really don't
It
like.
is extremely harsh.
Right.
It can actually injure the skin rather than healing anything in it. Potato juice, which I was talking about before, is like a good bleaching agent for yourself at home, but it doesn't give, if you're thinking about bleaching hair or something, that it won't do.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it definitely evens out the complexion. Yes.
okay. Okay.
If you want to get rid of facial hair,
Yeah.
then there is nothing better than laser.
Okay.
Because that is the safest, most effective, and the, what should we say, It has the added benefit of actually rejuvenating skin along with.
Okay. Okay, then probably I'm gonna try that out. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And getting laser done, is it like it'll help the hair, the unwanted hair removed in the first sitting, or is it like you have
No, so laser works with over a period of time because, like, see, for skin also, just let me make a note over here for all of you. If you're going to use anything on skin, like even if you're doing it at home or you go to the doctor's clinic and get some products from them, please give it a minimum of 8 weeks. There is a turnover time for the hair and for the skin. Skin will regrow from within, come to the top, shed off, regrow within, shed off till the healthiest skin doesn't come to the top. It's about an 8 week cycle. So similarly with hair, the hair has phases of growth. When the laser is used, it attacks the hair which is actually in a grown phase at that point of time. There is a skin, there is a hair shaft which is visible on top, and there is a hair root at the bottom. The laser attacks the hair shaft. The pigment absorbs that laser, transfers that energy to the hair root, and damages it. It does not kill it off, not in the first go. Gradual, like repeated cycles will damage the root to the point that it does not generate a new shaft of enough length or enough strength and easily falls off. So a minimum of 5 to 6 sittings is needed for that. You will definitely see, like if it's a good laser which is being used, within 2 to 3 sittings, there will be a great deal of effect, which is noticeable. But for anything to be actually per se useful, a minimum of 6 sittings of laser at least.
And
And
does
it
it has
depends.
any side effects or anything which may affect your skin
So
or?
if you're going to see, laser is a different topic altogether. It's like a very vast topic, but be careful. I mean, your doctor has to be careful. You can't do it yourself. Your doctor has to be careful in choosing the laser that they're going to use for you. There are different energy settings. They're different everything. Depending on the skin sensitivity, we'll set it up. Because if it's too harsh, it can actually cause pigmentation also. It can cause burns also. It can cause scarring also. So, but if used properly, it can actually cause skin rejuvenation. We see sometimes, I've seen in my patients, that sometimes we started doing laser for one thing and we actually saw that the wrinkles in that area or the skin texture in that area actually became so much better.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Yes?
Hi, Swati, Deepa.
Yes, Deepa?
So I just want to ask that is there any treatment or any particular cream for freckles, as I have applied so many creams, I mean recommended by the doctors, but I don't see any, I mean,
Change.
change in that. Yeah.
See, if you have, I can't see you, Deepa, so your camera is probably not on, so I can't even get a look at you.
1 second, Swati.
Sure.
1 second. I mean, there are particular, it's not an everywhere, but I mean, it's like spots here. I mean, some very light brown spots.
Okay, from what I see, yeah, you have some. I'm sorry because this is just a zoom camera, so the quality is not that great. Yeah, I can see you do have. See, freckles is something which is genetic. Everything is not something which is in the DNA is very difficult to be treated. We can prevent DNA damage by taking care of all these things, but something which is already in your DNA, it is very difficult to modify. Uh, if you are consistent, if you are persistent, and you regularly follow up with your skin doctor and you allow him to do whatever he wants, you will see that there is a reduction, yes. They may not disappear, they will lighten, and at least new ones will not form. If you abandon treatment, a person like you who has a predisposition to freckles will all of a sudden see that they increase in number and the quality will change. They'll probably look worse than before. So just like we can't, unless we do a plastic surgery and change our features, we are born with them and that's the way it is. So similarly with freckles, this is something which is very genetic. It is amenable to treatment partially. I will not say that it's like something one should give somebody a false hope and say, oh, they will just completely clear off. No, that's not possible.
And is it safe to, I mean, take the steam, as one of the doctor also, I mean, told me to take steam steam on regular basis. So is it safe, I mean, to take the steam?
No, I would not recommend that.
Because he told me, and he's a renowned doctor in Ghaziabad. I have also, gone to one of the doctor that he's in Delhi, Dr. Sanjeev Jain, right?
We
And
will not take
one of the
names,
doctor,
please. We won't take names. Okay, you can just mention
yes,
that
yes,
you went
yes.
to
So
some doctor.
he
We
told
won't
me
take
to
names.
take steam regularly, for 20-30 days.
See, I normally do not recommend steam at this frequency because whatever it is heat energy. It causes dilation of the capillaries under the skin. Unclogging the pores is one thing. We can use it as a partial treatment for a period of time and we space it out in between. And then we also have to follow it up with skin calming treatment. We never give steam just like give steam and leave it. Then there will be a whole lot of things you have to do after that. But heat therapy on the face regularly is something which I don't think is recommended at all.
Okay, thank you.
So I think,
May I ask you one more question,
yeah,
Dr.
sure,
Swati?
go
This
ahead.
is Ritu again.
Yeah,
For
Ritu,
the
tell me.
for the bleaching thing, you mentioned to use potato juice, if I
Huh.
may not wrong.
Yes.
How good is using lemon? Does it also does the same work, or is it bad to use lemon on skin?
So I was just talking about lemon juice before. I'll just elaborate on that. So lemon has a very acidic pH. Our skin itself is basically has an acidic pH. It's around 4.5. The more acidic the product that we're going to use on our skin, it is more likely to cause a burning sensation. And the more alkaline it is, the more likely it is to cause flaking of the skin and irritation of the skin. So usually whatever face products are launched into the market on a commercial basis or even in the doctor's office, until unless it's absolutely controlled, we'll try and keep it in a good pH range of between, like, let's say between 4 to 7. Okay, that's like a broad range I'm giving. So a lot of products even listed behind and say that the pH is this. Lemon is extremely acidic. If you're going to use lemon on your face, one, it won't just, it's not like the bleaching agent. It has a lightening effect, yes. Same because we use it in vitamin C tablets, in vitamin C drinks, in vitamin C masks. Because obviously, these vitamin C has a skin lightening effect. But lemon juice, please don't apply to your face directly. If at all, you can make it a part of another mask which you're using or put some other soothing fruit or vegetable juices into it or something, but do not use lemon directly on your face. If you have ever applied it, you would have felt that intense burn that comes onto your skin when you apply lemon.
Yeah, I felt
And after
itching and
that,
I felt
yeah,
very dry.
yeah, and after that, it remains for a while. Also remember, what you're just feeling is one thing. There is micro irritations. Sometimes people get a red face. Some people may not. If we are Asians, we are basically brown and medium skin tone people, which also makes us more prone to pigmentation problems. So if a white person will pop his pimple, he probably won't get a scar as bad as we will. So if you're going to use lemon juice and it's going to cause skin irritation, even after that irritation is gone, the skin has a tendency to pigment more in those areas. Opposite of what we want it to happen, we'll end up with skin darkening rather than skin lightening on a long run.
Yeah, I think I might because of that would have the issues that I had in my skin, but I'll keep
And
this as a note.
yeah, so it's nice, if uh, first start eating good and healthy fresh fruit and vegetables. Everybody's been hearing it since they were in school in class 2. We should eat this, we should eat that. First start with that, and then if you know your basic science that what is in which fruit and vegetable, you will realize that you can make all these things at home for yourself. I had put out a video a little while before, you can see it on my YouTube channel, which talks about this only, that what are the things which you can do at home to start with for grooming yourself at home. We don't have access to salons right now. We don't have access to iron products or anything. But we can do all these things at home. And why not? It's all grandmother's wisdom which is being consolidated by science.
Yeah, I saw that video. I'm gonna try that today for sure.
Yeah, the vitamin C toner is absolutely marvelous. Just try it for a few weeks and you see it works so beautifully. Only remember not to store it for longer than 4 days. Not in our weather conditions.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Swati. Good morning. This is Sakshi. I have one question.
Yeah, Sakshi.
Lately, I have started to notice that there are some white patches or maybe white spot under my eye, rather than on my eye circle. What could be the reason for that?
Sakshi, is there any irritation over there, or are they like clearly demarcated, or it's like small spots? How is it? Can you
Yeah,
describe it?
it's just a very small spots under my eye circle. So I can just see them on my cheekbone actually.
Okay, and they're not like bumpy pimple like looking things or anything?
Not really, not really.
Okay, from the general sound of it, maybe you're getting hypopigmentation in places. One, please increase vitamin B in your diet. Second is increase calcium in
Okay.
your diet. Okay, and use a very good
Okay.
sunscreen. Do not compromise in the use
Okay.
of a sunscreen. Okay.
Okay. So is there
these-
any specific sunscreen we want to talk about? Because I'm generally using Lotus, but still I didn't see any much of an effect after that also.
Okay. Okay, so sunscreens, there are plenty of sunscreens in the market, and the actual fact is the pricier they are, the more effective they are.
Okay.
So these commercial based, these kind of sunscreens are not all that great.
Okay.
Try and look for something which has zinc in it, zinc oxide. It's the greatest thing to have right now. It acts as a physical
Okay.
barrier. Zinc oxide is the best sunscreen to have, and there are a variety of types of sunscreen. And sometimes you have
Okay.
to choose according to your skin texture, because everything is not for everybody. The oily skin, there are different types of sunscreens for them. You have see, if you have oily skin, then it is better to go for a powder sunscreen or like a aqueous sunscreen. If you
Okay.
have a dry skin, then you would not mind or like a silicone based sunscreen. You can just go ahead. There are lots of good companies. There are lots of medicated sunscreens. Look for a SPF of 40 and above.
Sure.
And look
Sure.
for protection of both UVA and B.
Okay.
And there are different grading systems. So if you want, I'll actually do a video on that also, how to select a sunscreen. That's because it's like a topic on its own self.
Okay. Got
So
you.
that probably
Sure.
that will help you. But for the timing, do this, Sakshi. And I would strongly recommend that once this lockdown is over or something and these patches are still there, I would really recommend that you please show yourself to a skin specialist or any doctor. Like, just get it checked.
Certainly. Certainly.
So, any more questions, or I hope the session was useful to you all. And if there are any comments, please follow me on my YouTube channel as well. You can like me and subscribe me over there. You can leave your comments over there, and if there are any queries, I'll be most happy to answer. If there's any particular topic you want me to do or the next webinar or a YouTube on, I'll be most happy to do that as well. Okay, it's been nice hosting this webinar, nice interactive session. I hope it was good for you all.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. It was
Thank you.
very
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
good
Thank
indeed.
you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.